Hello everyone, hello and welcome back to yet more and more JavaScript. Today we will be covering the while loop, so we'll have a small little example. This one should be a nice little short one, so let's go on ahead and get this bad boy started and we'll be able to show you how to work with an actual while loop. In the previous video, I believe we worked with the for loop, so when you're working with JavaScript, you might have a number of different ways you may loop through or iterate through a particular process. All right, let's go on ahead and get started. So what you're going to want to do is make sure you have your Visual Studio Code up and running. And if you're not using Visual Studio Code, of course, you can use any editor that you would like. I'm also using an extension on Visual Studio Code, which is Live Server, which allows me to just pretty much not have to hit the refresh button. If you're not using that, that's perfectly fine. You can always just save your file and of course just continue to hit the refresh at the top of the screen with your browser. But let's go on ahead and add the while loop. Let's see here, so while loop.js. And we're also going to add the while loop HTML file, because I think we're going to have some output here. Okay, and we'll just open that up with Live Server. Good, and we can close that out. And now that we have that, let's go on ahead, add some bare bones HTML to the page. We're going to add our actual script to the page as well. And again, if some of this is a little crazy, we do, take a look at the previous videos that we have. So, most of this stuff, if you've been following along from the beginning, you're going to notice that most of this stuff we're starting to fly through because we're just doing it over and over and over. So let's see here. So what did we have? We have the actual name of the file. It is a while loop.js. And we'll defer that just in case there is any actual JavaScript that needs to load after the actual HTML. We're working with while loop today, so I'll just add that there. And I'll just refresh that. And for the output, we'll just place this within H2. We'll give it an ID of output. Okay, and I think that's good. Let's go over to our JavaScript file and let's create a while loop. In order to do that, I'm going to create a couple of variables. So let I initialize that to 1. And we'll say let message equal an empty string. And then what we're going to do is we're going to say while some condition, do something. All right, and in our case, we're going to say, okay, while I is less than or equal to 10. All right, so here's our condition. We're initializing up top, saying, okay, there's our variable. All right, and let's see, while I is less than or equal to 10, we are going to say our message is going to equal message plus any additional messages. That's what we're using the plus and equal sign for. And we're going to return, what are we going to return? Actually, before we even do that, let's try to make it a little easier. Let's console log. Let's say I is currently whatever I is. Okay. And let's see, we're logging that. So let's open up the inspect tool, go to the console. Looks like there might be an issue. Let's see, let's close that. And what else? Line 6. We're not incrementing anything. Let's do that. Increment that. And what else is going on here? On line 6. Oh. Okay, let's try that again. On the console, failed to load resources while loop. Okay, so we have while loop.js. What's the name of the file? Oh, while loops. There we go. We need to add that. Okay, so, well, Now back in the console, I is currently 1, I is currently 2. So let's go back to the JavaScript. While I is less than or equal to 10, in which we know that I is equal to 1, okay, we're going to print out I is currently, and then I is continually to increment it here. So I is 1, I is 2, I is all the way up to 10, and it's continuing to print out the actual message here. So that's your while loop right there. Now that was just in the console. We can actually place that within the actual page as well. Let's see here. Let's comment this out and we'll add a message. So the message is going to equal any existing messages that continue the loop through. And we're going to go through and say let's multiply. I times 10, okay, is going to equal, let's go I, so whatever I is, since that's always going to be incremented, times 10. And then we'll do a break line too, just so we can actually make sure we see something on a different line. All right, I think that'll be good enough. And what we need to do is actually apply that to our HTML. We have an ID here of output. So let's use that. So I could just actually access it directly, just say document.object, or a document is the actual object using the method of getElementById. The ID of that H2 in our HTML is output, which is right here. So let's use that. Okay, so output. Okay, and change the inner HTML of that and equal to the message that's in our while loop. Okay, and so now what we have is we're cycling through the actual loop, the while loop, and each time we go through that, we're saying, okay, I, which is 1, okay, and that's why you see the first 1 here, 1 times 10 is the actual amount. So 1 times 10 is equal to what? It's equal to 10. And then we continue to go through the while loop and saying, okay, I is now 2, so now it's going to continue to go up. So 2 times 10, which is our math right here, is actual 20. All right, we go through the loop again and say I is then 3, and so 3 times 10 is your 30. So we're just continually going through the actual loop, and then what we need to do is, okay, say what? Are we going to use the while loop? Are we going to use the for loop, just like in the previous videos? It's really entirely up to you. In the next video, I believe what we're going to do is actually go through the actual do loop, or the do while loop. And so it's really just going to be up to you as to which particular loop you like to use. All right. Other than that, any questions, concerns, or comments, leave a comment in the actual description. You can always email me directly. And of course, you can definitely subscribe to the channel so you can see these updates in your feed and the notifications so you can get the actual alerts alerting you as to when a new video actually came out. All right. Other than that, full stack out.